So yeah, the art of applying for jobs with Sam Thompson. I like this.
It's difficult. Yeah, I got a phone interview tomorrow. I'm very nervous about it.
What is it? That's with CVS? Is that the one?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't interview in person yet. You got to get the initial screening to make sure you're not racist.
Wait, what's the job? What's the job with? Is it in Parmistan?
It's with a global software company out of Seattle, and they basically started from this software product that was initially developed with Amazon, and then the guy who developed it was like, oh, I have $1 billion idea, and then went and started his own company.
Right.
And now they work with like other huge companies, and it's really kind of impossible to even describe. Like, I've talked to people that work there, and they're like, yeah, I don't even know what we do.
I feel like all of the companies that make the very large moves and the very large amounts of money, like Talking Book, for example.
Right.
Nobody can really pin down exactly what it is that they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, what is an audio book?
Right.
Am I pronouncing that word right?
Yeah.
Audio book?
Yeah, it's an A and a U like in Austin, so
Okay.
audio book.
Okay.
is the
I
way
just want to put on
pronounce
record
it.
that you are pronouncing that right.
But yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? Audio book.
Difficult to describe complicated jobs.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like PepsiCo. Someone's like, oh, they must make Pepsi. And you're
Right.
like, sorry, bitch, they control chips. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Lay's potato chips. Let me tell you, there are like some really terrible potato products out there, guys.
You mean like
Especially in the chip variety?
You mean like what wedges and tots, or like in the chip variety?
Yeah, but then also sort of offshoots because they're such a giant that they're not only selling Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Excuse me. Oh,
Coca-Cola.
you could get straight murdered for that if you're talking to a Pepsi guy.
I bet they fucking hate.
No, I'm
they must hate
serious.
Coca-Cola,
I am
right?
serious.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so as a salesman, he's always sort of he's networking and he has traveling and having dinners and lunches.
Would
and,
he ever order a Coca-Cola with clients?
Fuck no.
Of course not. Right.
Yeah, I mean, no, he checks beforehand to make sure the place they're going for
restaurant
lunch
has
and
Pepsi
dinner has
products.
Pepsi products.
Because restaurants never have Pepsi and Coke products.
No, it's always one
or
or
the
the
other. Because why would you need Pepsi and Coke?
Right.
I never realized that.
It's
amazing.
a
I actually
fact.
never
I mean,
realized that.
because I was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bartender for so long, it would always be like, yeah, can I have a Coke? Because let's be honest, most people order a Coke. They don't order a Pepsi. And I'm always like, oh, we got Pepsi products. How's that? And that, the normal humans were like, yeah, fine, whatever, fuck off. And,
Right.
But the psychopaths were like, no, I'll just have a water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, we were talking about like all the different brands because there's so many fascinating brands or like regional brands. You got like the Mellow Yellow Mountain Dew sort of competition.
Oh my God.
You know, Mountain Dew is spanking Mellow Yellow into the ground.
There's no fucking way that Mellow Yellow has a chance.
Dude, Mellow Yellow is fucked.
What about North Carolina's very own Sun Drop? That's like the same recipe, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that's Pepsi. Pretty
Sun
sure
Drop?
that's Pepsi. Yep.
Interesting. I would think that that's like a more regional, small thing.
No, it is. Yeah. But
And I believe, if I'm not wrong, Dave, I think isn't Cheerwine also in that same company?
I don't know. Actually, I don't think Cheerwine.
I'm gonna look that shit up.
Man, that's a good question.
Mellow Yellow had a really good year. I'm guessing. Hear me out. When Days of Thunder came out.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that is
shit.
true.
You guys were laughing.
No. You're
Yeah,
right about
sorry.
that. You're right about that.
I thought you were going in a
Yep,
direction
yep.
of like 2013 was the year of Mellow
Great.
Yellow.
Yeah.
It's the best. I
Tom
I have
Cruise,
bottled like
Days
I have
of
bottled-
Thunder.
Damn,
That
I
was
bet
big.
Mellow.
That was really
I
big.
bet you Mellow Yellow and Mountain Dew were in like a bidding war for that car.
for that car.
Yeah.
And Mellow Yellow's like had this massive speech to all the executives, and they're like, "If we do not win this, Mountain Dew will destroy us." And I was like, but then it really didn't help that much after that. But I mean,
No,
Mellow
not at
Yellow's
all.
probably kicking ass. I'm sure that
Yeah,
they're doing
yeah.
better than we think.
When was the last time you guys saw Days of Thunder?
I don't,
Long time. I saw it in the
fact-
theater, and
Oh, like a long time.
yeah,
Okay. I actually watched it maybe most recent out of anybody then. I watched it like 4 years
That's
ago. or
when
something.
that's when Tommy C met Nicole Kidman. That's where they
Oh,
fell in
really?
love, yeah.
Oh, I thought it would have been
she
Far
wasn't
and
in
Away.
that film. Though.
That was the I think Nicole Kidman's the love interest in that.
Far and Away not
Days
older?
of Thunder. Far and Away, I
Oh,
think
of
is.
course.
I saw Far and Away in the
You're
theater.
right. You're right. Yeah,
And
I
I'm
thought it was
pretty
Far and
sure
Away. I thought it was Far and Away.
Well, they met in Days of Thunder
Oh,
because
okay.
she is
Right.
she is the lady.
I don't know why I figured that was an older movie.
They've been in so many films together.
My favorite, Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, Eyes Wide Shut. That was the last one they were in together.
Badass.
Yeah.
That movie is not to really segue into the whole like horror scare.
I kind of want to keep talking about soft drinks, but go ahead.
Wait, let's say that, and then let's do a quick circle because I'm looking up info about Cheerwine and Mellow Yellow right now.
Okay, yeah. And just as an aside, the reason we were getting into Mellow Yellow and Mountain Dew is because we were drinking Squirt. Are you familiar with Squirt?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, and Squirt was like a
Yes.
thing there.
Yes, it's like a Midwest, like Southwest drink.
It could have
has
been-
like 1% grapefruit juice. So it's like
Squirt has a more fruit taste.
1%, just 1%.
yeah, 1% grapefruit juice, and it has.
But other sodas have no percent. It's just
Oh, I
artificial
see,
flavors.
okay.
It literally Squirt does taste like it has real juice in it.
Okay.
It has like a brominated, like sort of chemical that like a lot of people think they should be taken out, but it's like an emulsifier.
What's the problem with that brominated chemical?
Well, if you drink like 4 liters of a soft drink with that brominated chemical a day, then eventually your liver will fail.
Huh.
That's the only documented like trauma
Side effect.
Yeah.
So, Sam,
yeah,
so
right.
three, just so everybody, the 3 listeners at home know, just a real quick explanation. Sam is often discussed as our science officer, so you will from time to time hear he is smart. Dave and I are stupid people, but Sam will talk about certain chemicals that will make you die. He'll break down sun drop to the molecular level.
Sam is actually the only reason we're still alive.
Yeah, I would imagine because
Right.
Dave, you were drinking 4, 6, 8 liters of Squirt a day. And then
Yeah,
Sam
I
was
was. I was.
Squirt. I love that it's called. I mean, it's amazing.
I've literally never heard of
stuck with
this. You
that.
guys
You've
could be fucking with
definitely
me right
heard
now.
of Squirt.
Squirt is like
No, I
you
haven't.
know the Mexican sodas you can get it in the grocery store now. It's like starts with a J.
It's definitely not jalapeno, but
I know what you're
it
talking
looks like
about.
that. It's like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's racist though. That is racist.
That was really.
Was it? No, it kind of has. It's like
Chris
J.
is our resident
It's like JAL. Check it out, Dave. Here's Squirt.
bullshit. You guys just made this up.
no.
You guys made all these
But it goes no.
pictures and-
Squirt was like the chosen.
It looks familiar. Maybe.
A soft drink to go with tequila, and that's like Palomas were originally made with Squirt.
That's
like
dope.
back in the
Interesting,
50s.
okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys remember Surge, right? Is Northern.
Guys, just so you know, I typed in Squirt, the soda, and look at the first search thing that came up in Google. Could you read that for me, Sam?
That's not a soda at all.
Sam, could you read that for me?
Would you like the science officer to read?
I would
to
like.
read
I'd prefer it if you read that.
How to squirt during sex, squirting, and female ejaculation.
So it's interesting that the company really switched their branding a lot. And this is kind of the kind of stuff they're doing now. It's
You got to
very
go with what
Yeah, yeah.
sells.
Yeah.
I like the Urban Dictionary
Guys-
definition. As well.
Guys, real quickly, just so you know, Cheerwine is technically the oldest continuing soft drink company still run by the same family.
Okay.
No
fuck.
shit.
Yeah,
That's what
Carolina
I was thinking.
Beverage Corporation
Right.
of Salisbury, North Carolina.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a good drink.
it's a fine drink.
Yeah.
When I first moved here from New Jersey, when I first went, I was freshman in high school. I moved from Jersey to North Carolina. I remember being in a store with people, and they're like, "Let's get Cheerwine," and I was like,
How'd they say?
I thought, let's get Cheerwine. And I thought it was like some kind of alcoholic thing. And I was like, what does that mean? And they were like, I'm like, oh, it's wine, like soda wine. And they're like, let's get Cheerwine.
That's all.
That's all they
They didn't answer your
I
question.
don't know if they could. I don't know if they knew what I was talking about.
They had so much cheer
People
wine.
in our old town had a very limited vocabulary, so it's entirely possible.
But no, they explained to me it was like a delicious cherry soda run by the oldest continuing soft drink company known as the Carolina Beverage Corporation of Salisbury, North Carolina.
No, it's very much the same because I moved from Maryland to and you're talking about Shelby, right?
Shelby.
Okay, yeah, me and you both moved. I don't know if we moved at the same time or if you moved before or if I moved before.
Yeah,
but-
Dave and I actually kind of grew up in the same place. We moved to Shelby, North Carolina when we were young men, strapping young men, prepubescent young men. I guess not for me, but halfway. Half pubes.
I'm still waiting for
Yeah.
mine. But yeah, I was the same way. I don't think I had heard of a Sun Drop or Cheerwine or I think I was 11 when I moved to Shelby. So
You still haven't heard of Squirt.
yeah, I learned something new all the time. But barbecue was the thing that I didn't know. When somebody would say, "Do you want to try barbecue or whatever?" I didn't know what that was, and I said, "Barbecue what?" Because in the North there were only
Sure.
chips.
It was like a flavor. It
Barbecue,
was a
yeah, or
flavoring.
barbecue sauce or something.
Back to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chips, barbecue
Right.
chips.
Yep.
Yeah, back
Yep.
to the
Circle
chips.
back
All
around,
comes
Let
back
me tell
around.
ya.
full circle.
Yeah.
So
And we just happened to, the funny thing about that is we just happened to live in the town that had the best barbecue in North Carolina.
is that true though? I'm sure
That's-
people would
it-
argue that.
It was voted, yeah. Bridges
Who
Barbecue.
voted?
Like this one guy. I think his name was Earl.
His name is Earl Bridge.
Yeah, he just really likes it.
Wait, okay, so wait, Sam, are you a barbecue fan? Are you like one of these guys who's like barbecue, gotta have it, put it on me?
I mean, I like barbecue. I'm not obsessed
You're
with
not
it.
one of these guys.
No.
I like barbecue. Dave?
Yeah, I love it. Definitely.
You know, just the only reason I ask because it's like oftentimes a lot of people who are born and bred here. You know, sometimes people have.
Well, no, I mean, no. It's not. I at least for me, what I see in terms of like enthusiasm is not for barbecue. It's for vinegar-based barbecue versus the foil of ketchup-based barbecue.
Sure, tomato
Right?
based. Yeah.
So it's sort of like the identity politics of barbecue.
Remind me because I know you were born in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Which obviously North Carolina is vinegar based.
Yeah.
But then there's this mustard gang.
I think
Where's-
that's more South Carolina.
Is it South?
Boo.
I mean, I'm not sure.
Well, you know,
It's
Buxton,
pretty
our,
regional.
Our good buddies at Buxton. It
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like they're like a sponsor, but our good buddies at Buxton, I go down to Buxton
will
and
be
get
now.
your barbecue.
Right.
But I think they do like kind of a mix of everything, right? Because you work for that company, you bartend part time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about Buxton though.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I know that Elliot went like it was inspired by a lot of restaurants in South Carolina. I didn't
Right.
hear much about the North Carolina vinegar-based stuff, although his barbecue is vinegar-based. But I think there's a lot of things that he pulls from South Carolina. It's like, you know, that culture is not just the barbecue. It's like, you know, do you have a sort of sweet roll with it? Do you have like cornbread?
Right.
You know, how do you do your fixins and your like vegetable sides? And, you know, I think all of that goes into it.
It's a very complicated, deep kind of.
Yeah, because each of those sides you can get like political about.
Sure.
Like, do you put, you know, are the collards, is there meat in there? Or like, what are you cooking it with? And, you know, do you make your coleslaw with sugar, you know, with like lemon juice, with white vinegar? There's lots of like very, you know, fine lines. And if you step over them in the South in terms of food, someone might bitch slap you.
Someone will kill you. They will kill you.
Yeah. It's true. Like, if you put sugar on my slaw, I will murder you.
I don't think I've ever even heard of sugary
Oh, I
coleslaw.
definitely have.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean, like white sugar, like spoonfuls
Yeah,
of
just
sugar?
sweeten it up.
Yeah.
I guess I have.
just a preference.
I guess sometimes if you rock into to Food Lion and you go to the coleslaw section, you buy the kind of shitty chopped fine Food Lion coleslaw right out of the container. There sometimes it can be sweet as hell. You're like,
Definitely.
what the hell's that?
Definitely.
Is that a North Carolina thing?
No, that's like a northern thing.
Wow.
Like sugar in Southern foods is like a total northern thing. It's like
Fascinating,
sugar and
because-
cornbread, sugar and coleslaw.
yeah, that's
shouldn't
here.
be there.
But this is why that's weird because I grew up more northern eating sweet cornbread. Moved
Yeah,
down
yeah.
here and I'm like, wow, savory cornbread.
Yeah.
It was surprising because you know the blue and white boxes, the Jiffy instant cornbread that you
Right.
get. That's always sweet, like the classic
Yeah.
Yankee cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
But you flip that on its head. You have this sweet tea culture, and the Yankees saying sugar in your iced tea. Are you
That's
a
interesting.
moron?
Yeah.
So
right,
you know
right.
where does that happen?
That's I don't know. Hey, touche. I haven't thought of that.
For the record, sweet tea or unsweet tea?
Neither.
Neither.
I do not like sweet
no
tea.
tea. This
like-
guy hasn't had
Oh,
a
no,
tea since
like cold tea.
1982.
Cold tea, I don't understand it.
You don't understand it? Oh, you just don't. You don't buy it at all.
No.
You don't get it.
No.
Dave,
Not fucking with that shit.
I feel like you're a sweet tea boy.
I like a mixture.
Half
I
and
knew
half.
he was
and
going to
half.
say that
How did you know I
half.
was going to say that?
because
Very
it's
lukewarm.
just
Because
Just
makes
like-
me just want to roll my eyes.
So it's so me. Yeah, I mean, I think when I moved to the South, that I was like overwhelmed by how much people drank sweet tea all the time and everything like that. I thought it was very sweet. I mean, just like there was so much sugar in it. But I think that now that I'm in my 30s, I think I've realized that like it's best of both worlds is just combine
Right.
the two. Yeah.
Let me tell you what I do. Here's I think the perfect balance, and I think this could help you, Sam, get into iced tea.
Oh, okay.
We want to help you.
Thank you.
The first glass of iced tea you have should be slightly sweet. because what it does is it gets those the taste buds, the saliva flowing from that sugar, and then after that you want to pound multiple teas because you're having a lot of salty heavy foods like a fried chicken sandwich, for example.
Right.
You don't want to put a bunch of sugar in your body, so then after that initial sweet tea, you go unsweets on every refill, and that, my friend, is what will get you into the iced teas.
Interesting. So the unsweetened tea, that's water and steep tea.
It's tea. No,
There's nothing else in there?
It's funny because
I think there's like 1% grapefruit juice.
because iced tea is just water and tea, and you were like, let me get this straight. In that iced tea is water and tea.
I'm just making sure.
You're like, macaroni and cheese is just macaroni and cheese.
I just find it interesting that tea, there's this assumption that you don't specify the tea like you would in lots of other contexts.
Sure,
like,
right.
I
You're
want
saying if a
the
green-
chamomile, or
right.
I want, this herb, or, it black or green. No, just so is that, the assumption is it's like a Lipton style?
Well, I think
What,
I think
what
that,
is that? Is that a tea?
well,
Is there a plant that creates Lipton?
Technically,
is there a tea?
Yes.
Sam like is
There
outside.
are
He's like,
technically
what is
so many
tea?
things.
Well, no, think about this. So, having lived overseas for a while, iced teas can be iced green teas, iced barley teas,
Okay.
iced oolong teas, jasmine teas,
Okay.
different things. And in the States, what we call iced tea, is black tea. It's
a black tea.
Lipton is a black tea.
It's a black tea.
They're black. Black is midnight. And so yeah, I mean, if you said, let me get an ice green tea, perfectly fine. Do you like other kinds of iced tea, or you just hate the ice black?
I mean, iced tea is one thing, though. I'm just saying in
Oh,
America.
so you're saying in the American definition of iced tea
Yeah.
is something you're not a big fan of.
Yeah,
Right, gotcha.
exactly. The concept of iced tea more general, I'm okay with, and I like to learn more about it. But we assume it's this one thing. It's like this factory farm tea.
Right. Factory
I
farms.
just don't get it.
Right.
Well, this Lipton,
So Lipton is probably owned by PepsiCo, really.
I don't know. It just seems like, why would you want that?
Wait, what about iced coffee?
The fuck is
Think about
Lipton?
this though. Think about this. The like the oldest, most classical foundation beverages, right? Especially non-alcoholic. You have coffees, which can be consumed either hot or cold. Teas, which can be consumed either hot or cold. And then really from there, I mean, what else do you have? You really go into like beers and wines, right? Because those are all the classical beverages that are not water. No one's like slamming milks, really.
I
Regardless.
used to.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I did too.
I mean, I'll slam milks after pumping that iron, tapping fools out. But I mean, I guess I'm just saying like the beverages that are consumed regardless of class, regardless of stature, right? You have your coffees and your teas. Probably some places in England with the teas, America with the coffees. But what about iced coffee? You like iced coffee?
No, I don't.
So I think what we have here is Sam doesn't like
Sam,
some
what
ice
do you
drinks. What about
Yeah,
full circle
it's
back to
weird.
sodas? You like sodas?
No. I mean, I'll drink squirt and tequila.
You're like a big squirt guy, but other than squirt, I don't really tend to branch out.
I really have to try a squirt.
I like a little fresh juice in my sodas, and I have
Very little.
Yeah, 1%.
Sam, you're like taking a sip of somebody's soda. You're like, excuse me, is there more than 1% in this soda? Well, what about Fresca? So since we're talking about like Midwestern strange sodas, what Fresca? You ever heard of Fresca?
Doesn't Fresca have aspartame in it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does.
You would have to break down the molecular.
It's like
structure for
it's
us.
the new school Tab.
No, not at all, my friend. Fresca is an.
Have you had
old-
Tab?
I've had Tab.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to have Tab. Born in. See, this is bullshit. This is the. Look at this photo of Fresca. This is new bullshit design. Fresca.
Yeah, I didn't even know what I was looking at.
Hold on, wait. I'll show you old school. So when I would go visit my family in Ohio, they would oftentimes have Fresca, like 2 liters, and this is old school Fresca. Right here. You got your Fresca.
Apparently, it's so delicious.
It's literally.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
It's squirt, but instead of grapefruit juice, I believe it's lemon.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Yeah.
But that's another like Midwestern.
What percentage of lemon are we talking?
I'd have to really check with Sam on that. I don't really know the exact percentage. But yeah, going back to the reason we're on this subject in general is because earlier you told me you were visiting your buddy in Austin who works for PepsiCo.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you just say Pepsi? Is it because
Pepsi.
he sells the
PepsiCo.
chips? And not
Right,
the
exactly.
Pepsi, so you're
Yeah.
thinking-
It's yes.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha. Top chip?
Mm-hmm.
You got a top chip?
My top chip. I definitely have a top chip.
So you're not into the iced beverages, but you are into chips.
I
You have a
love-
soul.
love
You have a
chips.
soul.
I love
I'm a
chips.
big fan of chips.
Holy shit, man.
I think we've talked before that sometimes you just want to just pound chips.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get wasted, blackout drunk for years just so I could enjoy chips more the next day.
Yeah.
Because when you're hangover, you have a Coca-Cola or a squirt, and you're just
Right.
pounding like an entire bag of chips. That's the life.
Yeah.
So what's your top chip?
My chip is the tortilla chip, corn tortilla chip, and it's
Oh wow.
I
I was thinking he was gonna go potato. Didn't you?
Yeah, I
think?
definitely did.
No, it's a corn tortilla chip, and it's the one in the supermarket that says like $2 on the bag.
Oh, the
yeah.
Santina, something like that.
yeah,
right?
something like yeah.
I I have a
Right.
bag of those upstairs. Those are amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
So wait,
fantastic.
you-
and PepsiCo.
PepsiCo makes those.
Yeah.
No
Sam,
shit.
why the
full circle?
why the fuck
Yeah.
aren't you working for Pepsi?
I know.
Well, we found a new sponsor, I think, didn't we, for this podcast?
We're like the Talking Book podcast, listened to by 3 people, brought to you by
We
Pepsi.
just really talk about PepsiCo.
Pepsi.
Yeah.
That would be a dope sponsor.
That would be a dope
That would be
sponsor.
We can find
the
a way
very
to
first
we can
sponsor.
find a way to interject that word into
Yeah.
like we have so far actually.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Oh
Yeah.
wait. So are you talking about straight plain
Yeah.
tortilla chips? No
Really? No
salsa, no
dip?
cheese?
No, what I like to do is
Tell me all about
I'll have them for lunch. I'll have a sandwich and a side of chips.
That's fantastic. I just did that today. That's
I do that constantly.
What
That's
are
the
you?
most normal meal for me.
I feel like that's the most normal meal for anybody.
No,
Is it?
it is.
wait, no, but just it's funny because the way you said it, you were like, "Hear me out. What I do is I have a sandwich with now hold a side of chips."
That's revolutionary.
I guess the one weird part about it is that the reason maybe it was heavy is because it's tortilla chips, where most people go potato chips. Sam's like the kid at school. He's like, "Hey guys, what do you have for lunch?" "Yeah, well, I have a sandwich and chips. So I'm sure no one else does." Right?
Well, I really like that. I actually went to the store last night with a weird strategy of just like making sandwiches for lunch, like every day for a while, just to kind of do that to save a little bit of money. And so I bought lots like meat and cheese.
What kind of meat?
Just like honey ham, Black Forest ham, and
Wait. 2 different kinds of ham?
Yeah, I like ham.
honey ham and Black Forest ham.
Yeah,
Really?
I like ham.
You like double it up on the same sandwich?
No, I mean that's just different
Wait,
days.
so you're saying
Oh,
like,
different days.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when
Oh,
you
okay,
wake
right.
up, is the first thing you think you're like, "Oh, is today a Black Forest or a honey ham?"
Yeah. How do you know?
What is
How do you know?
today?
Do you know right at the beginning of the day which day it is?
Oh, you know what I
Or
bet?
is
You know what I
it
bet?
like-
Just from the names, think about it. If Dave wakes up on the right side of the bed, he's like, I'm so like everything's sweet and light, honey ham.
Right.
And then if it's like a dark, dreary day, Black Forest.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely always know from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did it work out?
It's going really well. Today I had
All the Black Forest ham is gone.
I just ate it all
Dave's
today.
very depressed.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Have you tried any of Sam's like kind of more highbrow experimental meals, like having chips with it? With the sandwich?
No, that was the second part of that little story is that I also got chips. No shit, true story.
You know,
I bought chips with it. Yeah. It's a big bag of chips too, so it's gonna last for
I mean, there's
many a
something-
meal.
it at the time felt like
It's a real statement you were making.
Oh god, it's killing me still. Wait, so Dave, what kind of chips?
Actually, what?
It's gonna be the worst episode of a podcast ever. But we're having fun. That's what matters.
Yeah. It was like sour cream, cheddar sour cream chips.
I will say, to be totally honest,
Yeah.
I fucking hate sour cream chips.
I
Oh,
do not
really?
like sour cream.
I hate sour cream and onion.
What the fuck?
Do not like
I just
it.
think they
Why do you
suck.
guys not have any love in your heart?
I just feel like because it's a Black Forest day.
Salt and vinegar? Can I hear for salt and vinegar?
Salt and vinegar.
salt and
Salt and vinegar is
yeah.
arguably the best flavor of potato chip.
I love
The
it.
only chip I would put above salt and vinegar, and I want to see what you guys think about this. This is important for literature and art and humanity, but I think that the salted potato chip is still has to be number one, because the problem with the salt and vinegar, you're not going to eat your weight in salt and vinegar because you'll die of dehydration. Right?
Yeah,
There's no way.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
Dave.
No, I don't really like the normal flavor. Just the basic potato chip. I don't.
You don't like
I mean,
the basic-
I like it if I'm dipping it into something.
What about a little pepper? A little cracked pepper on that salted potato
So
chip.
you'll crack fresh pepper on
I'll
your
crack a little pepper.
You're a little pepper cracker, aren't you? Would you say you are?
Yeah.
It's fascinating that we're discussing this genre, because like there are certain things about that specific genre that made me into a person who cannot function in certain situations.
Yeah.
It programmed
Yeah,
my
yeah.
brain to act certain ways out of fear. Fear, one of the strongest emotions. I think that's why I get so like, up in arms about defending horror, because like I think that I think that it has more, like you said, really difficult to pull off, but when it does, long-term lasting effects
Yeah.
on my humanity.
Totally.
You know, on
So-
my personality.
Yeah, so maybe it's one of the most, if not the most powerful genre. Just the
Right.
hardest to do. Yeah, I could agree with that, and I really do like horror. It's hardy horror.
Horror. Horror.
But it's just it's rare that I find something that just really affects me in a certain way. And I think we've talked about that. You can, like you said, you went to go see a movie with Sam and he jumps.
Oh, no.
sometimes.
Off the
Not,
top-
still-
not to
yeah.
out you or anything like that.
No, that's
off-
fine. Yeah.
No, Sam jumped in the previews for it. I can't remember what we were watching. There was
I think it was the previews for like Beauty and the Beast.
no. What
Yeah.
was it? Do you remember what it was that you jumped at?
It was. No, I don't
What
remember.
the fuck were we watching in my house not too long ago? The three of us and
Miami
and
Connection?
Danny. Well, no, before.
I don't think I
That was
jumped in.
terrifying.
I don't
No, before Miami Connection, we watched something where you did a big jump. It's
Jim Kata, was it? No, Jim Kata was just you and me.
You wouldn't have jumped at Jim Kata. No, but I guess the point of this is that if I'm watching something scary that I've seen before, I will literally look at Sam before a scary part and just watch Sam, because he always does a big jump, which is why Sam's so fun to watch movies with.
Yeah, and I think that has something to do with the fact that horror.
Dave, look at this. Watch. So I taught.
it's the fact
Listen.
that-
I taught English. I taught phonics and English.
Can you please teach me how
English
to say
language
horror?
for years? So all
Yeah.
you're doing is you're not making this shape with your mouth,
Yeah,
like horror.
a horror.
There you go.
Yeah,
that was
I
good.
just learned how to say a word.
I just helped Dave.
That's wonderful.
Well, phonics.
Guys,
Hooked on
No, but
phonics.
you
you
just
can't-
that. Well, you say that's one of the only words you say in a super Yankee accent.
Yeah, I don't really know why.
I don't know what it is.
That is
It sounds
interesting.
cool though. I dig it.
Yeah.
There's only a couple words I say like super southern.
Right.
Yeah,
You
it's
like
weird.
you,
It's like
you'll be
one or
like,
two.
Chris, would you care to come to my house and maybe have some cheerwine? You'll see. I don't know if that's
But yeah, that's why I think that it's possibly a tougher sell for me, and why there's very rarely can I watch a horror film.
Dave. Be yourself. I like you. I
Yes,
like your.
You know
horror, but-
that really does it for me and actually creeps me the fuck out. Whereas maybe you can experience that with more. But I think we probably both agree that the jump scares aren't what make horror great. Horror great.
Yeah, I think jump
No,
scares are
it's
kind
the
of
tension.
like
It's the imagination.
But when they
you
work,
know,
that's
the-
great.
Do you know?
too.
You know what makes horror great is somebody who's one of my close friends, like Sam, describing me the scene about Stanley getting the phone call.
Yeah.
Fucking 24
Yeah.
years later in my life, and I get chills up my spine.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
crazy.
you cannot do that about many things. Like I like experience fear for a moment by you telling me about a scene that I saw as a child.
Yeah.
That's where horror becomes fascinating, is when you're walking through the hallway at night and you're 35 and a father, and suddenly you think, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's where horror is fascinating.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I think what's it's kind of funny that I grew up without any of these fears that a lot of phobias that a lot of kids have.
Because you were afraid of Jesus.
I'm afraid of Jesus because that's all I ever knew as a kid. my Christmas presents were actually addressed from Jesus. No shit.
Yeah, that's true. Because Dave comes from a very religious family.
Wow.
Yeah,
Would it say
yeah.
from Jesus or like?
No, it literally
would-
said from Jesus. And I don't think like as a little kid, either I didn't believe it or something like that. Or I think I knew my dad was writing it or something like that because I would have had
I'm
to.
sure
have,
in the early days you would have thought that it came from Jesus. I'm sure. Like when you were really little, you probably didn't know.
It would
Just
have
like
been-
I didn't
no,
know.
I
Santa
don't remember
Claus.
having that thought process where like maybe you guys would have thought, Santa actually brought the gifts. I don't remember ever thinking, did Jesus come to my house and like actually take the time to put this under my tree? I don't know, but
Jesus like came down the chimney.
Yeah, he
like wore a Santa outfit, but it's Jesus.
He goes, David,
Right.
I got you what you wanted.
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
Jesus always?
Well, it's funny. The impression of your father and Jesus were the same.
They're the exact same one. That's my dad's voice.
Yeah.
No, but it was just gonna say that that I didn't grow up with those types of movies, so
Right. Maybe so. That's sorry. Keep going. I'm not gonna. I have something to say, but I'll wait. till
yeah,
you-
I'm not scared of clowns, and I'm not scared of the ocean. Well, I'm for a different reason. I almost drowned once when I was younger, so it's a completely different reason. But yeah, so I'm not scared of sharks. I'm not scared of clowns because I wasn't when I was fucking 7 years old. Nobody put that on for me and said, "Oh, this will be okay. We'll get over it." Like,
Right.
yeah. So,
No,
so I don't have those fears.
That's interesting. I mean, that might have some kind of bearing on Dave's love or hate or whatever of horror in general. In that
Possibly.
you didn't have the age of the children in the story. There are young kids experiencing fear that will affect the way they view the world for the rest of their lives. And not to be super dramatic about it, but Sam and I saw something that traumatized us as kids, and so the way we see this is this sacred thing that we went through, this journey of fear. And you're saying you didn't go through that same journey, so that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Yeah, I
no.
think that is interesting.
You know
Yeah.
what my
Always
first
liked it.
scary movie was actually, I think, Scream.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which Scream would have came out?
Which
the
terrified me.
early '90s or something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw
Mid-
that.
maybe mid
94,
90s, yeah.
95.
I saw that at my
95?
my half sister's house. I think I was probably 11 or something.
You know what's funny is
12.
I never got scared of Danny, my sweet lady upstairs. She is more afraid of movies about things that can actually kill you, like a murderer.
That makes
Like,
sense.
right.
It makes
But
sense.
to me, like those movies never are frightening. I'm never thinking years later, like walking into the basement. I hope the murderer won't get me.
Have you seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer?
I've always wanted to, but I haven't. But I've Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You might
scared
change
the
your mind
shit-
after you
Texas
watch that.
Chainsaw Massacre scared the shit.
Holy
out of me.
shit, man.
Yeah.
That movie, and I know people that watch it and just laugh through it. Just laugh through the whole thing. I watched
Yeah.
that. I felt like I was watching a snuff film from the very
Yeah,
beginning
I mean,
to the.
Texas
it was.
Chainsaw Massacre to this day,
absolutely
I think
terrifying.
ages so well
Yeah.
that it looks to me.
I don't want to
like-
watch it again.
Well, it looks the way that movie seems to me is this happened and this is footage of it.
Exactly.
That's the way it feels.
That's the
to
way
me.
it felt to
Yeah.
me. I was transfixed
Yeah.
watching that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it is like it is. I think by a lot of film critics thought of as a bit of a maybe weirdo film critics, but as a masterpiece.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I've
For
actually
sure.
I've seen the shitty ass 2001 remake.
Oh shit! You've never seen the Texas?
No,
Chainsaw?
no, I've never seen
Oh
it.
my god, we have got.
There we
to-
go. And I'm gonna
It's
love horror.
Halloween.
Horror now.
It's October.
Yeah. This
I mean,
Friday
that-
is the Friday 13th.
Dude, that's easily in the top 5 horror movies of all time.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Jaws, The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Halloween.
yeah, The Shining.
I would put Halloween there.
I will say,
For
and
me,
not to argue
I-
with you, I unfortunately didn't watch that when I was young. I watched Halloween when I was older, and I grew up on Freddy Krueger and Jason, but I didn't grow up on Halloween. I thought Halloween, maybe it just didn't age well, but I didn't think it was scary for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's
I-
it's a perfect movie. And I mean, there was no movie made that way
Right.
before.
I mean,
You
that
know,
was the first of
soundtrack
the
was
slasher movies, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
slasher film.
Yeah.
I think Nightmare on Elm Street. I know this was another movie that I obviously didn't see when I was a kid. Did you guys watch that when you were?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit! That's okay. So
I
'cause
grew up.
it's-
I grew up on Freddy Krueger. To me, was the mainstream pop culture horror figure, whereas like it was the more like this fucked me up. Freddy Krueger was like the fun, cool horror figure that I watched as a kid.
Totally.
Yeah, and maybe everybody. I think that that's where it really comes down to what scares you the most. Like some people think arachnophobia or something is terrifying, or probably did at some point, because they're scared of spiders. For me, psychological things fuck with me, and dreams and stuff like that. So I didn't watch that when I was a kid, but I watched it as an adult. And
What, the original Nightmare on Elm Street?
yeah.
Did you watch that at my parents' house with me and
Maybe.
Zach?
I'm not sure.
We watched it together just last year at my parents' house when you were in Shelby. I remember we watched it together. You'd never
Did we?
seen it before.
Okay.
And you really liked it. I
maybe.
think.
Yeah, I did. I think that is the most, to me, if I had been a kid, clowns, sharks, that probably would have been scary. But that is the most terrifying premise that I can
Something
think
that
of.
when you fall asleep.
Yeah,
kills you in
because
the
because
rooms.
what you're doing is you have no way to get, like, okay, if you want to get away from Jaws, fucking don't go in the water.
Right.
I guess it's kind of tough.
Don't be a
Don't
kid.
be in a sewer. Don't be a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't live in
exactly.
fucking Derry, right?
Right,
Just
right.
don't live in
Don't be
Derry.
afraid. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid of clowns.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
really,
right.
don't be afraid.
What do you do
Yeah.
to get away from Freddy Krueger? Don't go to sleep. How long?
Well,
does-
that's
how,
why that
How long can you fight
yeah,
that?
That movie as an idea was terrifying because Johnny Depp, one of his original performances, like
Yeah,
they
it's
would
fantastic.
they were like, yeah, it's not real. They're trying to stay awake, and you can't stay awake. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And so and the great part about that movie is they'll be awake still. They think.
Yeah,
And
they
the
think
shit
they're
starts
like they're in
happening,
school
and
or
they're
something.
Not,
Yeah.
They're not awake. Yeah,
That's terrifying. That's terrifying to me. And
so you're a Freddy Krueger boy. You're
Yeah.
not a cougar, a Kruger.
I'm a cougar. Cougar town. Yeah, generally, I think that the movies that get to me the most are the more, if we are talking about the same genre, not thriller, which thrillers can also be this too, but more psychological. That gets to me. Like I bring this up sometimes just because it was one of the first kind of like, whoa, what is it? Like Vanilla Sky. When I watched that for the first time, that really like got to me. Because, at the end you find out that he's not dreaming, but he's, I guess, what was he, like frozen or something like that the whole time? Or
Yeah,
something
he
like
was like, cryogenically frozen
Yeah,
until they
yeah.
could figure out a way to fix his face.
Yeah, so he's in his, I think that's the scariest thing to me, somebody being in their mind and not being able to control it. Because that is can be the most terrifying thing ever. Your
So
mind.
Jacob's ladder scenario.
Right. Jacob's ladder scenario, except that there are higher stakes than that scenario, in that he is deformed and he does wake up at the end, and it is slightly worse than he thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shit always did scare to specifically you. I remember you would bring up like not thinking that reality is real, or what is real, which the Freddy Krueger thing would affect that too. Like, are you in a dream? Are you awake or asleep?
Or just
Yeah.
weird stuff, like even like we were saying Eyes Wide Shut before. That's a freaky movie to me, and I don't know why. The part where he goes,
I mean, Eyes Wide Shut, I think is understood to be very freaky.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
like-
just the piano note, like
no, yes, yeah, the part where he goes into that party, Fidelio, the password and everything like that. The
Yeah.
part where they find him out and there's all those people with masks and everything around. That is still to this day top 10 scariest moments
Really?
in any for me.
I had a hard time taking that movie seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For some reason, yeah, I love that movie. I thought
Yeah.
that movie has such a perfect like pace and tone of like mystery. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'd love to watch it again.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And I think it's also because I can't really even remember what was the overall point. I remember at the very end they say like "want to fuck" or like that's something like that. Let's have sex or something. That's the last.
right. I'd have to watch it again to go on about what it is about. But yeah,
It's about marriage.
it's
isn't it?
about marriage.
And
It's about sexuality. It's about
Yeah.
that these people have been driven completely apart by whatever, and they both
Desires.
have their own desires. And he
Yeah.
goes on this strange like down the rabbit
Journey.
hole Alice in Wonderland thing,
Right.
like, to figure some shit out. And,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting movie. Yeah, but I definitely think that we should watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre soon.
I'm
I
down.
mean, technically, this is kind of a Halloween podcast
Yeah.
episode. We're talking about horror movies. It's the dead of October. Are there any other like horror movies, Sam, that you're like chips in a sandwich, classic Sam?
Mhm.
$2 bag.
Yeah.
Santana's. These chips were made by Carlos Santana.
What a question. What a question. Well, I mean, The Shining and Halloween are probably, I've watched the most.
I mean, can everybody just in this room do we all agree that The Shining is the best horror movie, possibly?
I would say The
So
Shining,
it's up there. I mean,
Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and if there's anything
Omen. Omen's quite good.
The Omen is really good. I watched that.
Mhm.
I think last year, Danny and I watched that again. She had never seen it. That movie still holds up completely.
Yeah.
I think Rosemary's Baby, The Shining, not in any order.
Yeah.
The Exorcist. Is there anything else that really gets my? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre for very different reasons.
Hmm.
Just in
Yeah.
this like indie, gritty,
God.
low budget, fucking psychotic, like tear your eyeballs out. I shouldn't
Yeah.
see. I shouldn't say this to Dave because
Yeah.
now he's going to be expecting something. And
It's okay. I'm
when I saw
actually not going to.
nothing like Halloween or Freddy Krueger in terms of the feel.
No,
and
no,
reality.
it's a one of
I
a
mean,
kind.
It
It's a one of a
definitely
kind kind of
feels
film.
like the original Blair Witch Project. Like, hey, here's some footage of some crazy shit that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it is
That's a great horror movie.
And it is Blair Witch Project's a great movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of based on true murders that happened in Texas. So Danny's
I didn't know
father,
that it was based on anything.
yeah, it's based on truth. I think it's pretty rough, but it's based on something true. But Danny's father was living in Texas in the 70s when this came out, the
Right.
age of the kids in the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't happen that far from where they lived. They saw it at a drive-in. He said it was just like fucking world-ending insanity. I mean, that movie was banned a lot of places.
Wow.
It was also a brilliant marketing campaign for that movie because I don't know how many people went into that movie.
Talking about Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. Like not knowing that it was fake.
When I saw the Blair Witch Project, I thought it was.
Yeah.
I was young enough that I thought it was real footage.
Yeah, same thing with a lot of like our friends we
Wow.
talked to, and they
Because
were
I was like, I'm 30. I'm almost 35, so that means I would have been 14 when that came out.
perfect.
And I remember as a naive young man was like commercials of, it was the original one. So commercials were
Yeah.
like, something happened a long time ago in the woods. We found the footage. Now it's a fucking movie. And I was
Yeah.
like,
It's
what?
genius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, found footage, and they do more brilliant things about that. They apparently released a documentary before the movie came out to kind of just like throw that out there to have people that
Like
you know
a faux documentary.
yeah it was whatever that's called and yeah, so that just helped a little bit more to give credibility to that story for
Right.
anybody that watched it. But then there was also the fact that they spent like what $300 on the whole entire movie.
No, not
And
300, but
I
close
don't know
to
what
that.
I don't know.
I
what
think it was
I don't know
like
what it was.
a
Yeah.
few thousand. or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, was it a
There's
few
not a lot.
thousand?
Well, they
Okay.
say the movie
That
with
sounds
the
more,
movie
yeah,
with the
believable.
highest return ever, Paranormal Activity,
Oh, okay.
which
Right.
takes the Blair Witch Project concept,
Yeah.
flips it on, and just takes it to the next level. It was a much later
Yeah.
iteration, but I was listening to Planet Money not long ago, and it
Yeah.
apparently has the highest return of any movie ever made.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, because they made it for like, 20 grand, and it made like
Oh, it was-
millions and millions and millions, and still
Yeah.
does make.
And that's
money.
why
Oh,
there's
okay.
like 20,000
I'm
of
sure
those
they're
movies.
all. Yeah, I'm sure they're. I've never even seen a
Yeah,
single
because
one.
they just keep.
Oh, you've
shitting
never
them
seen
out.
any other?
but
than the Blair
it,
Witch?
it's the idea of like put a buck into this, the cheapest amount.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, man. Okay,
You know, this really brings me back to like a childhood memory, actually. Not a particular film, but I just remembered that when I was a kid, one of the things, maybe you haven't gone through this, but like for me, when I was a kid, I would, say I want to be a scientist, and then a year later, I'd be like, no, I'm going to be, a rocket scientist or an engineer, or I'm going to study paleontology and dinosaurs. And so one of the things I like sort of cycled through was like being a writer, which is weird for me
full
because
circle talking book podcast.
Yeah.
perfect, Sam.
and at the time, like when I was young, I read tons of Stephen King.
Sure,
And so what did I write? I just wrote like really gruesome short stories.
right.
Nice.
And it was mainly just practicing like describing people dying in like
Right.
brutal, gross ways, And I just was inspired by the way Stephen King would describe those situations. But of course, he had a story, in between those moments. But I would just write really short stories and I would just describe a single brutal moment.
Right.
And at the very end, I would just add a little bit more that would sort of contextualize it. And so like one story, for example,
How old were you? Would you have been at this time?
I was 14.
Right.
Yeah. And so like I remember the story was, it's stupid. It feels stupid now, but at the time I thought it was really cool. it's just a guy in a room, and then he's basically just like dissected and destroyed by these little like sort of machines in the room. Okay, and then at the end of the story, it just suddenly you're in like this sort of lab, and there's these doctors, and they're like taking notes, and they're looking through this double, like this, one-way glass, right? And they've been studying this situation.
Sure.
And
like a classic kind of Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
It was just exactly. It's perfect description. Yeah, and then the doctor says like send in the next, like subject 5A.
Right.
Nice.
And it was kind of like dun dun dun.
Yeah, right. That was that moment.
You were like, this is our society.
Right.
No, but yeah, I see what you mean. That is like, you're keep going though. Like when that was.
I just thought it was. So that's just interesting that I did that because I completely forgot that I did that. And then I remember
you're having an it moment where you're recalling something.
Same,
know.
you just go upstairs and run a bath.
We all just remember something like collectively all of a sudden.
Weird. Yeah,
it's funny you never told me that before.
I know. No, I didn't even remember it until just now.
Right.
You're talking about
that
it.
is really interesting.
And I remember showing it. So that wasn't the only story. I mean, I had written maybe 10.
Sure.
And like I would show them to my parents, and like to my parents' credit, they didn't freak out, at least in front of me. They were just like completely supportive and like would proofread it and be like, oh yeah, and talk about like how I could describe something better. And they wouldn't really talk to me like, why are you writing about, this is a gruesome, it's really gruesome.
Right.
And,
but did they know at the time you were reading Stephen King books?
Totally. Yeah.
So then they would have known.
Yeah.
It wasn't that you were just a psycho.
Yeah. And then, but I do remember that, I wasn't a bad writer, and I was a pretty creative kid, and my English teacher that year at school was really liked what I had written for class. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I've written some other things.
You're like, I wrote them for you.
Yeah, I'll bring in all the stuff that I've written.
Right.
And so, I just print it all out, staple it up, give it to her. She never looked at me the same after that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Every time she did that, you would just be like,
So
Sam,
funny.
okay, we got to find these stories.
I know.
Because every episode.
My mom might still have all this stuff.
It is interesting what parents
But think about this.
throw
Think
out.
about this.
Yeah.
Check this out. Tell me if I'm crazy. Every episode so far, there's only 4 of them, 3 people listening, as we said, ends with a writer reading an excerpt from their book or playing something from the audio. What about if the end of this one, it'll transition and it's Sam reading one of those fucking amazing 14-year-old stories.
But he completely forgot about it until just now.
Yeah.
That's weird. I'm wondering if it was some sort of repressed memory or something like that. Was there something?
I don't know.
Let's not delve in too far.
I think
it's just something traumatic.
I think Sam is just going into his Stanley moment.
Yeah.
Right?
That's interesting.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm going to go start a bath.
Wow, that's pretty creepy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing to Sam read one of these 14-year-old stories.
Yeah,
I bet you. I mean, for a 14-year-old, they're probably great, but also for us in our 30s, they're probably hysterical. They're amazing.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sure your teacher to this day still can't go into a laboratory full of tiny machines that will dissect somebody.
Damn straight.
Yeah.